Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Tech Bites with Ash. I really appreciate you guys checking this out again. Like I mentioned last time, I want to be able to give you guys most of the advice that I've done over the years so that your time here is useful for making some decisions around your professional lives. Today, as you see episode 2, I really wanted to take a chance and talk a little bit about data and analytics. I know that in today's world, one is overindulged in this topic. It's almost like indigestion caused by overeating data, analytics, and all AI, whether it's digital media, magazines, even business networks, all talking about data. But the reason people are doing that is this is truly the foundation of digital capabilities. What I wanted to start and remind you today was what I shared last time. So digital strategy is a very broad term, digital transformation, an overused term in our industry. But what does that mean? You have to simplify it for things that you're trying to achieve, whether it's on the customer experience or employee experience, and how you digitize your path towards a digital enterprise in general. So with that context, I wanted to talk a little bit about why data. As we know, there is a tornado of data coming in, right? So the volume of data being captured, whether it's on a retail outlet store or through your mobile apps or your websites, is mind-boggling. Combined with this data that you're capturing, there's more data that companies are investing in from an outside point of view. They're buying data assets from companies that aggregate data from elsewhere. All this is defined as structured data, but then there's also a lot of data that is unstructured about final consumers, right? Anyone who's out there providing residual data images through social media channels, your Instagrams, TikToks of the world, there is data to be captured. Any data that is being spoken or visually captured is data. So we all know there's a tsunami of data coming. We're capturing all that. How do we use all of that for the right business levers that we're focused on and kind of make better decisions, right? So as you see here, as companies capture all this data and mature some of their data capabilities, the questions that the business executives are asking are maturing as well. Initially, people were talking a little bit about product, saying, hey, what's my best product portfolio? What's most profitable? Where am I selling it the best? Then there was questions around customer. Who are my most profitable customer segments? Which regions? Which seasonality, etc. Of course, there was a lot of questions on employees. If it was sales, who are my best salespeople? What is my cost of sales? What is the cost of customer acquisition? All this eventually into more strategic financial questions, as in, what are we trying to achieve? What is my top line? What is my bottom line? And how do I mitigate my risk for the company, right? So these questions started with reporting backwards, which long ago, this was called business intelligence and reporting. So there was questions on what happened. Eventually, with the power of computer crunching and the data assets available, people are using some of this to kind of say, okay, can I start predicting some of my future? And we'll cover some of that content as we go. So the first thing is, like I explained, in any data and information management lifecycle, production of a lot of data that's happening, organizing that data to make some sense out of it is called information, right? You put context, you define what that is, you get to the relevant and interpretable pieces, and then eventually you want your employees and your customers to make informed decisions based on that information, right? So insights, whether it's visualization, ad hoc reporting, or prescriptive and predictive analytics, and these days a lot of people talking about generative AI, which I'll cover in a lot of interviews in the next couple of sessions with a lot of industry veterans. So the idea is that there's 3 pillars to this, right? You capture data, you bring it in, you organize it, and then you really use it for some information that could make more sense. So for any kind of capability, this data management and architecture becomes such an important capability. So we talk a lot, the first step being bringing the data in, curating it, capturing it, cleaning it so that there's hygiene. A lot of people use industry terms like, well, data is the new oil. Well, you need a good refinery to make sure the oil is clean, right? So data hygiene, data quality is important for you to make informed decisions based on those data assets that you're going to leverage. So that's a very important skill set. What I wanted to show here was just 3 pillars, right? Different sources of data, like I've already described, are coming into your organization. So the first piece is you ingest it, you bring it inside, right? Second piece is you store it, whether it's stored on-prem, which is on premises in your, in your environment in the company, or on cloud, right? And then eventually you want to be able to use it for your segments, whether you explore the data or you consume it. That layer is the most important piece to kind of build your information lifecycle. But needless to say, like we talked about, data governance and architecture becomes so important, and data security, like we all know, is going to be something that you encompass to really holistically build your data capabilities. And we'll cover a lot of that as we discuss a lot of new pieces in generative AI and how does it all fit in, and still why data quality and all these pieces are important, because it's when you build all these capabilities, can you really leverage things that your employees have, applications or CRM systems or SAP systems that can do the right thing in terms of leveraging that asset and making some informed decisions that you are trying to enable your employees. Very quickly, the things that are changing right now are that data was always stored in the environment, which was called on premises. A lot of people now, with the forefront of cloud, are using data elsewhere. And then with the advent of edge computing and 5G, you want to make decisions very near to certain places where the data is being used. So a lot of this is evolving, but the idea remains same, that data assets, wherever they are, maybe you minimize the movement. For real-time applications, you kind of do it where they are, but there's always a need for back-end systems as well. So a lot of this is evolving, and that's what is kind of really going into the industry as new forefront. I want to cut short the whole pieces of what you read in the industry, right? Descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive. The key is you try to do data exploration, you try to understand what happened. Eventually, technology helped you understand root cause, looking for patterns, right? Why something happened. And then people are beginning to use some technology, say, what are some of my future outcomes? For example, in supply chain management, if something happens, let's say there's another macroeconomic event like the war that happened a year or two ago, or some kind of weather data that kind of really impacts your supply chain, what are some of the things that you could do that could happen? You could do some scenario analysis and plan accordingly. And where the technology in the industry is going is called prescriptive, because you want to be able to do some automatic actions, right? There's a ton of talk about agentic AI being, agentic artificial intelligence being leveraged for certain things that are just automatic. For example, if you're a retail store and there's a consumer ordering a lot of things every month or every week from your mobile app, can you predict what's going on? Can you make sure that they're getting their eggs or their groceries automatically every Monday? And things that they don't need, can that just be left at the doorstep and it does a reverse logistics in terms of return automatically? So the more you automate, the more smoother the customer experience, but you have to be very careful, right? And we'll cover this. I have a very good session coming with an industry veteran that talks a lot about those agentic AI solutions, whether it's in financial services or even in manufacturing, that yes, the technology does enable that, but how you use it and integrate that in your workflow is very, very key. And then one thing I want to leave you guys all with is this whole advent of GenAI. So a couple of years ago, I think it was 18 months or a year and a half ago, ChatGPT became such a buzzword, right? So of course, all other companies are doing a lot of work within this technology called LLMs, large language models. A lot of them exploring small language models as well. So whether it's Meta, Llama, or it's Anthropic Cloud or others, a lot of people are saying, okay, this is something that can be leveraged to generate things automatically. I wanted you guys to understand the origin of this, right? So a lot has been happening over the years, and suddenly one technology comes and it becomes so disparate. Like even my grandmother knows that there's something called ChatGPT that the grandchildren use to do their homework, right? So that's the power of technology spreading so fast. But the key is there are three patterns that are converging to kind of create this, right? The first is there's more data being generated. So there's more training data, and the technology enables you to use some of this data, and we'll cover vector databases, how everything can become a vector database where everything is stored in some kind of a string format and used for knowledge. The second is there's more advancement in just models that are being built. So that's happening in NLP, as it's called in the industry. And then the third piece is cloud, right? It's becoming much faster, more powerful. So the compute power is definitely increasing. Anyone who's in this industry knows NVIDIA, which generates those chips that are doing processing much faster. Whoever of my friends sold their NVIDIA stock are of course kicking themselves because that's the future, right? A lot of companies are buying these chips to create almost GPU as a service because the compute power is so strong that it's needed to kind of generate some of that. I don't want to talk a little bit about the sustainability and how much they use and where we are going with this. I'll cover that in a separate topic, but the idea is that these three forces converge for you to give you a new piece of action that is called sample ChatGPT and others. But the key would be how you leverage this and how do you integrate some of that to really come up with the right use cases for your company. And that's going to be key for you to understand how this all kind of fits together. So again, I wanted to give you a quick glimpse on data and analytics just to give you that context. As I mentioned, going forward, I want to be doing more interviews with people who have done some of these initiatives in their organizations so that the pearls of wisdom that you can get are something that you can apply to your company. So if you like this channel, please do subscribe to it. Please give me a like. If you want to kind of read more, buy my book. It's in the link here in Amazon.com. As well as please do connect with me on LinkedIn. I always like to hear from you guys in terms of feedback. As I mentioned, I'm being very careful in this clutter of social media that we all get into, that this is something that you can really leverage, and the time spent here is something that is of value to you. So thank you again, and see you next time.